Hello everyone and welcome back to TSN, or the SASUKE Nerds, and it's that time of the year again. You've seen them for so long and they're always wrong. It's time for our SASUKE 40 results predictions.
This time we have even more competitors to predict than ever. This edition will see Shaq and I predict 30. Yes, 30 competitors. I'm not 100% sure yet if we will split this into two parts or not, but we will cross that bridge when we get there.
Alright, so first off, before we get into any competitors, we are going to start with the general results of the tournament, like the clear numbers and all that. We're going to go through, as usual, each stage, 1, 2, and 3, not 4 yet, obviously, because we don't want to spoil anything. And we're just going to see how many clears we think each stage will get. So, I'm going to start with stage 1, and although we've been having quite low clear numbers lately comparatively to, say, the early Rising era, honestly, with how stacked this lineup is, I can see a lot of clears, and not only is there a stack lineup, but there is a lot of competitors in this lineup that I feel like if they get a good break or a good run, can also clear. And I think with the course being as same-ish as it's been for the past half-decade now, I think that could happen. So I'm gonna go very liberal with this the clear predictions for stage 1. I'm gonna go with 23.
Alright. I'm going to be honest with this one. I have placed the estimate rather conservatively here. You know, God forbid someone wipes on the Silk Slider, which I hope they don't do, because, come on. Nonetheless, I've placed my number at 21 Stage 1 clears.
Alright, any reason why you're predicting less, or...?
Because, given the amount of bombing that we've seen as of recent, Kawaguchi being the biggest offender, it's rather safe to say that we could see around 21 clears. That's a safe guess I'm going to go for this tournament.
Alright, that's fair enough. Moving on to stage 2 now, and what do I really have to say about stage 2 anymore? It's the same thing as last time. It's pretty much almost the same course we've been seeing for the past decade now. It's not as difficult as it used to be. There was an improvement in 38 to the difficulty. It actually became a speed stage for once. But now with the nerfing of the rolling log, that's kind of pointless now. So I kind of see a return to the amount of numbers that we saw in like SASUKE 36 and 37 coming back, where we see quite a few people get past the stage. And judging from the people I have predicted to do well this tournament and the people that are in the lineup in general, I can see a lot of stage 2 clears. Not as much as, like, you'd expect me to say. Like, I'm not going to predict, like, A&W levels of stage 3 runs, but, I'm going to go with 9 stage 2 clears.
Alright. I've said this a bajillion times. Inui hates the stage. In fact, I'd be willing to wager that 38 stage 2 was an accident. I don't think he really meant for that to be the definitive stage 2 that we'd be seeing in the tournaments, as evidenced by 39. As much as I want to say that we're going to see in A&W 11, we're going to have a bunch of people, more people than, clearing them failing. As much as I want to say that, I don't think that's going to happen given the people I think will clear in this tournament. So I'm going to go a little bit higher, and I'm going to say 10, because I could totally see maybe, I don't know, someone fail, God forbid, the Salmon Ladder Kudari.
Oh, God.
But that is a story that we will get to momentarily. So yeah, nonetheless, I will go for 10 clears of Stage 2, i.e. SASUKE 27.
Yeah, I can see that. I would hope, honestly, as sort of like a wake-up call kind of thing, that we do get a lot of clears. But, again, on one hand, you do have a lot of people that, like, if they get a good run, they could do really well. But on the other hand, I do see a lot of people making their first clears and that are going to struggle with Stage 2, and we already have our stragglers in general who can't get past that stage. So yeah, I think around that range is pretty fair. On to Stage 3, though, and this is probably going to be the most difficult to predict. But at the same time, judging by our predictions, it could also be the easiest to predict. Stage 3 pretty much all depends on whether Yusuke gets there or not. That's literally what this prediction comes down to. Well, two things, technically. Whether Yusuke gets there, or whether Yoshiyuki Yamamoto can get past the cliffhanger dimension. If either of those things happen, we're getting a final stage. But without revealing anything about what I've predicted, I'm gonna go on a limb here and say we get one finalist in Sasuke 40.
Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. This is rather polarizing, what I'm going to say here. But I will get to it very quickly. I think that we're going to have 3 finalists in this tournament. The second time ever being, the first time being Sasuke 12. Get this. But I have quite the reason for it. First of all, Yusuke. That is the biggest reason. Second of all, I have 3 major candidates to make it to the final stage in this tournament. And being lenient in this prediction, I could totally see all 3 of them making it to the final stage. Beyond that, all bets are off, but in this stage, I'm gonna go with 3 out on a limb.
I would love to see that. We haven't had that many people in the final since God knows how long. Ever since Sasuke 24, when we had 5, we've only had either 1 or 2 people in the final stage. I think a large number of people in the final stage would be refreshing for sure, but would also be a complete embarrassment because of the fact that this is the second tournament after what is meant to be renewal. Again, I hope these results happen, because it would definitely serve as a wake-up call that, hey, you can't just do the absolute, well, not even the absolute bare minimum, less than the bare minimum when you're renewing your course. And don't come at me with this, oh, but renewals are different in Japan. A renewal is a renewal, okay? And if we do get these results, we have a lot of people on Clear Stage 1 and Clear Stage 2 and Clear Stage 3. That is a problem when you're meant to tout your course as being like the new era, this like Hello New World stuff. Like, it's ridiculous. But without going into a rant about modern Sasuke, which, hey, that might come soon, let's get on straight ahead to the part that I'm assuming you've all been waiting for, the competitor predictions. Alright, so first up here we have, as always, Katsuhide Torisawa. Torisawa, every single year, we always pretty much predict the exact same thing out of him. You know, because Torisawa, he's a joke competitor. We don't expect him to get very far in the course. His personal best, after all, is only the 4th obstacle, as allegedly he failed the fishbone, I believe, in Sasuke 34, I believe. But, yeah, Torisawa, I don't really expect a whole lot out of him, and that's okay, because, you know, we love Torisawa for his role he plays in the show, but in terms of results predictions, I'm gonna go with a low of quad steps and a high of fishbone.
You know what? I'll give him this. I trust his technique, so to speak, on the quad steps. But I mostly agree. Hell, he wins himself before he even steps on the fucking course. Let's let that sink in. So I'm gonna make this very simple, but I'll be a little bit nice. I'll be a little bit nice to Torisawa, considering the course has not changed a single time, you know, over the years. I'm gonna be very nice. Low, rolling hill, and high, a miracle happens, and he makes it to Dragon Glider. Alright, so we move on to, let's say, the new Hioki of the show, Koji Saikawa. He's basically assumed the role of the guy who's there to be the first clear. It was originally Hioki, it is now kind of transitioned to Saikawa. I mean, you don't really place him within the first 20 runs if you don't want him to clear. So I'm going to be very simple with this. Seeing as he failed wall lifting last time, I'm not going to entirely rule out a stage 3 here. So I think he's going to clear. Low rolling log, high of spin winder. I don't see him getting any further than that.
Yeah, with Saikawa, he has been very consistent in his short time on the show, has not failed stage 1 yet. I agree with the whole point that he's pretty much taken over the role Hioki used to play in being the quintessential first clear competitor, as he's done that last tournament. But yeah, Saikawa as of yet has not broken out and made it to the 3rd stage like Hioki does on a regular basis. And I think that's mostly down to both inexperience and just general troubles with the second half of the second stage. But I do think he can put all the pieces together if he does well this time, because, you know, he's got 3 tournaments under his belt now in that stage, and I think a 4th surely will be the moment that he actually breaks out and does it and gets to stage 3. But then he'll encounter another obstacle there, which of course is his lack of experience with the 3rd stage, and this is a 3rd stage that does require a lot of experience to know how everything works. Like, you need experience to figure out things like how much you have to swing on the cliffhanger, or to time your jumps on the spin winder, etc, etc. But I do have quite a lot of faith in Saikawa, but again, there are maybe 1 or 2 things that could trip him up on his way. So I'm going to go with a low of double warp wall, and a high of swing edge. I have a bit more faith in him to get slightly deeper than Cayne does, but I don't think he's going to get to the cliffhanger. So yeah, low warp wall, high swing edge. And up next, we have former Black Tiger and former Ako Gundam member, Yoshinori Issa. Now, Issa, he kind of was sort of second fiddle to Yoshiyuki Yamamoto during his time in the Black Tigers, and I'm supposing that is part of why he left, so he could sort of find his own identity and sort of make himself stand out as a competitor rather than just being known as the second best Black Tiger. And I suppose he accomplished that in a way, because he sort of stood out as his own competitor even though he was still in a Gundam. But now he is completely independent, as it looks like the Yako Gundam is pretty much dead. But onto his results right now. Ever since his pretty embarrassing Rolling Hill fail in his debut, he has made stage 3 every single time, with, I believe, 2 cliffhanger fails, a cliffhanger fail, a flying bar fail, and last time getting disqualified on the swing edge. And while I don't believe he is a competitor that is a real threat to, you know, maybe get to the final stage or whatever, I do think Issa is a fairly comfortable shot to, once again, to get to the 3rd stage, if not at least clear the 1st stage. There are 1 or 2 obstacles, again, in the 1st stage, which I'm a bit iffy on him, because of course he did fail the Rolling Hill in his debut, and of course the Dragon Glider could trip up anyone. So for Issa, I'm going to go with a low of Dragon Glider, and a high of the Cliffhanger Dimension.
Okay, Issa, Yoshinori, I would say I'm going to be very pinpoint with this result prediction. I have seen some of his runs as of recent. Oh, and by the way, good on you, Yoshinori, for becoming an independent competitor. Takes a lot of guts to do that, but I digress. He's gotten rather comfortable with the 1st stage as of recent, which is something you love to see, and, you know, it very much helps, because they're not changing that. They're not going to change that for 40, admittedly. I have spouted the same words out like a broken record. Let's get straight to the point. I don't think he'll fail stage 2 either. Now, of course, he did clear with, like, I can't remember the exact time, but less than a second in 38. But I have faith that he will make it to stage 3, so let's get straight to the point. Low spin winder, high cliffhanger dimension.
Okay, a lot of faith in Issa, I see, because you only have 2 or 3 obstacles in your range. Okay.
Of course. And now we move on to Karen. Oh, what do I have to say about Karen? She's good at Ochiruna. She's good at Fisher's Quest. Why? I don't understand what has not clicked about this 1st stage to her. Of course, I'll give her the benefit of the doubt. Stage 1 is way harder than anything in Ochiruna. And to make it to the 3rd stage in Fisher's Quest, she went through a luck-based stage. But nonetheless, I have 0 faith in Karen. I don't think she's going to do well. She's failed the Rolling Hill 3 times in a row. I want to say 3 times. Blanking on the results, but I have no faith. So low Rolling Hill, high Fishbone. That is my prediction.
Yeah, fair enough. I pretty much echo everything Cayne said here. Karen hasn't really shown that she's really a formidable competitor in Sasuke. She does well on other shows. She does very well on some other shows. But Sasuke, I think, is just it's a step too far. She just hasn't found like any sort of ground in there. It's always a Rolling Hill fail, or before it got removed, it was always a Wing Slider / TIE Fighter fail. A lot of people hype her up, and it's always a disappointment. Like, whether it's because she is way too slow on the rolling hill, whether she just doesn't have, like, the strength or, like, the agility or whatever to do very well. And we did see flashes of decent runs at times. I believe in Kunoichi, the one time she competed in Kunoichi, she made it all the way to the modified Dragon Glider, but kind of just peeled off straight away. But yeah, I have no faith in Karen as well. I'm going to be very slightly more optimistic, and I'm going to go with low rolling hill, high Dragon Glider. And up next, it is breakout star of SASUKE 39, Yusuke Goto. A lot of eyes are on Goto, of course, as a lot of people anticipate him to be the next rising star in Sasuke due to his impressive background, high amount of potential, and of course his first clear occurred last tournament in Sasuke 39. However, the one thing I do worry about Goto is, of course, his inexperience. Sasuke 38, his debut, he failed the Dragon Glider. In Sasuke 39, he made another careless mistake and kind of derailed the bar on the Salmon Ladder Kudari and couldn't get across as a consequence. So he's sort of shown in his short career already, he isn't the most careful competitor. He can be quite mistake prone because I believe he derailed the bar as well in Sasuke 38 on the Dragon Glider. So yeah, but of course with Goto, I believe like the sky's the limit for him because he's shown on his Twitter page and in other videos of him training that he is very good and does have the potential. But I think with this course, breakout stars that like do as well as like say Tomohiro Muto did last tournament are very hard to come by. So for Yusuke Goto, I'm gonna go with a low of Dragon Glider and a high of I don't want to be too optimistic, so I'm gonna go with a high of Swing Edge.
Goto, you know, as much as I want him to do a Tajima from say Sasuke 24, I would love to see him do a run like that, but reality check here, I'm not gonna hold my breath for a run like that. So I pretty much echo what Stowe says here. Low Dragon Glider, high Swing Edge. Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Oh boy.
Next is Shunsuke Nagasaki.
Yep, that's right.
What do I have to say about this man? Ever since he lost his bike, that's when his career took a turn for the worst.
Exactly. He never recovered from that bike incident back in the day.
That bike thief should be very sorry. I'll keep this brief. Not like it matters because they're not going to show his ass anyway. Low fishbone, high reverse conveyor.
Okay. I'm assuming this prediction is the one you all came here for. Well, most of you anyway. One of the ones you all came here for. Because if you've been even half around any of the community servers on Discord or in the YouTube comments or even this channel back when it was active back in back in the day, you know me and Shunsuke Nagasaki, it's a very interesting sort of dynamic. He's my all-time favorite competitor, but it's a very painful existence being a Shunsuke Nagasaki fan, at least for the past half decade. I want to be ballsy and say that this is his comeback tournament because, you know, TBS have advertised it as such. When they did his interview, they were like, oh, will he do a comeback? No, he won't. He never will. I'm sorry. I can't pretend that he's gonna get to, like, stage 3 or something when he's not showed anything to prove otherwise since Sasuke 33. So for Nagasaki, I'm gonna predict a low of Fishbone and a high of wall lifting. I can't see him getting to stage 3. I want him to, but I can't see it. It's not happening. I'm sorry. Speaking of competitors who constantly get digested, we have Hitoshi Kanno up next. Kanno's career has been one of the most saddest, depressing downfalls I have seen in a while. He went from this really inconsistent, but at times brilliant competitor who, during a short period of time, did look like a threat to do very well and get to the final regularly. But again, the first thing that stopped him was sort of his inconsistency. He would either probably fail the first or second stage, or he'd get deep into the third stage. It was sort of no in-between for Kanno. But Sasuke 27 was where that all changed when he injured his shoulder. And ever since then, he did have that period of between 28 to 31 where he actually consistently got to the third stage, and his Sasuke 31 run was incredible. It's been stage 1 fail after stage 1 fail after stage 1 fail ever since Sasuke 32 when he re-injured his shoulder. And although I have slightly more faith in Kanno than in Nagasaki to clear, Kanno is way more unpredictable in that sense. Because with Shunsuke, at least you could say, okay, if Shunsuke gets past the Dragon Glider, he's probably clearing. With Kanno, I'm really not sure. He could literally fail anywhere at this point. He's still in that realm where he could fail anywhere on the course. But like Nagasaki, purely because with Kanno, he hasn't been there in so long, I don't see him getting to stage 3. So with Kanno, I'm going to go with a low of Rolling Hill, because we know he can fail that, and a high of Wall Lifting.
Alright, Kanno. What do I have to say about Kanno? First of all, they're not going to show his ass. Second of all, from what I've seen, I'll give him this. He's trained for stage 3, but nonetheless, it does not matter if you are good at stage 3. As we've seen with multiple people, Shinya Kishimoto, what's his name? Misuke Sutella. I don't know if that's really an applicable name because he was only in USA versus the World. But
that is a name I haven't heard in years.
Nonetheless, competitors built for stage 3 still need to have stage 1 experience under their belt, or they're not going to get anywhere, ultimately. So while him doing, the crazy cliffhanger jumps or whatever, while that's a reassuring sign, I really can't see him even touching the cliffhanger this tournament. But I'll give him a 1 obstacle boost compared to Shunsuke. So instead of Fishbone, I will say low Dragon Glider. And instead of high Reverse Conveyor, I'll say high Wallet. Alright, next up. This man, I did not expect him to even show up. This is probably the most surprising one. Koji Hashimoto. And honestly, I got nothing. I really haven't seen him do anything since 2013, which was 9 years ago. So I really don't have a lot of info to work off of here. But you know what? I'll give him this. He's not 45 years old like Suzuki will be next year. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt here. Low Dragon Glider, high Salmon Ladder Kudari, because I don't think he'll do very well in stage 2. I mean, hell, in 29 he failed me backstream.
Yeah, with Hashimoto, how do you even really predict him? Because I don't think I've seen him really do any training. And that's not to say he hasn't been training, of course. I assume he has. But we don't know how he'll do on a course that is, well, apart from stage 2 anyway, completely different to when he left 9 years ago. It's really difficult. But if I go off of what we saw of Kanno in his time in Sasuke, he is fairly consistent. He is a very consistent competitor, very good at balance, all that stuff. So he has that going, and he was still clearing in his in Sasuke 29, his last tournament. But again, he's 38 now, which isn't old in Sasuke terms, but when you're 9 years away from the show, age kind of hits a bit harder. So it's really going to be telling whether he'll actually cope with obstacles such as the Dragon Glider, or whether he'll cope with the Tackle Warp Wall combo, because Hashimoto isn't exactly a big guy. And you also have the Salmon Ladder Nuborian Kudari. You have so many obstacles to worry about here. But I think with Koji, there's a chance. There's a chance. Out of all the returning competitors, I'd say he has one of the bigger chances of doing well. So for Hashimoto, I'm going to go with a low of Fishbone and a high of Salmon Ladder Kudari. Speaking of returning competitors, we also have Naoki Iketani. Yes, the pro sportsman competitor, the gymnast. Iketani, what can we expect from Iketani? He's clearly not the same competitor anymore. He's deep into his 40s. I don't expect anything of him because he's not done very good at all. His speed is pretty much gone. His agility is pretty much gone. So yeah, I don't expect a lot from him. It would be pretty cool if he got, like, fairly deep into stage 1, but I don't honestly see it, so I'm going to make this short and sweet. I'm going to go with a low of Rolling Hill and a high of, if he's lucky, Dragon Glider.
I'm a great fan of this man, you know, from what I've watched on Sportsman over the years. Well, I say that as if I've watched that show over the years. Nonetheless, yeah, he has been hit by age like it's a 15-wheel truck. Like, what do you want me to say? He's not even good at the thing that makes him famous. Like, if you watch Boden, you would know that. Don't watch it, by the way. It sucks. So let's go into it. Low Rolling Hill, high Dragon Glider. Next up is a competitor I have way more faith, you know, that he'll do well. Yoshiyuki Yamamoto. And I really hope this man does well, to say the least. He is easily probably a solid second to, you know, Yusuke Morimoto. So, considering his not very varied pool of results, you know, cliffhanger, swing edge, I'm just gonna keep this short and sweet here. Low Spin Winder, and high, I have faith, Tsunenobori.
Okay. I pretty much agree. Yoshiyuki Yamamoto has been pretty much a breath of fresh air in Sasuke ever since he debuted in Sasuke 37. He has gotten to the 3rd stage in every single one of his appearances, with 2 cliffhanger fails, one of which was agonizingly close to clearing. And while his 39 run, I wouldn't think it would raise too many eyebrows. He did look a bit uncomfortable on the Sidewinder, and obviously just went straight away on the swing edge, but I'm sure that Yamada has been training him in those obstacles. At least I'd hope he would. Yoshiyuki, you know, he is really a technically gifted competitor, and I think if he does get the right run, and if he does sort of have all the pieces click, he could be a serious threat to not only get to the final stage, but depending on how good his rock climbing is, he could be a threat to win the show. So for Yoshiyuki, I have every faith that he'll get to stage 3 again. If he doesn't, I would be very surprised. So for that, I'm going to go with my low of Swing Edge. And as for my high, although Yoshiyuki is one of the bigger competitors, he's incredibly strong. And we have seen that on so many occasions. So I'm going to agree. High of Tsunenobori on the final stage. And next up is one of the best competitors to come from Sasuke 39. Very surprisingly, in fact. Masashi Hioki. Again, had an incredible run in Sasuke 39. Completely bossed the first stage. Looked very comfortable in the second stage, and just demolished the swing edge, which, honestly, I don't even think anyone really expected him to do. I think everyone expected him to sort of crash out in, like, stage 2, or just get demolished by the swing edge, but no, Hioki looked incredibly strong and better than ever in Sasuke 39. I think he could take that momentum and carry it forward and do better, but again, he's 41 now. And although we've seen with many competitors that age is sort of, like, means absolutely nothing, again, like, there's only so long you can fight back against sort of genetics. So with Hioki, I think it could be business as usual, but there are a couple of obstacles that I think need to be paid attention to with him. So with Hioki, I'm going to go with a low of Double Warp Wall and a high of, as much as I want to say he'll clear Cliffhanger, I don't see it. High Cliffhanger Dimension.
You know, maybe this is a sort of single-minded opinion, but I don't know. I think, in my general opinion, that this probably will be sort of the normal tournament for Hioki. So I'm going to keep this brief. Low wall lift, high cliffhanger. Alright, up next is Hayate Kajihara. This man, he came out of nowhere. I don't even know. Actually, no, I know quite a bit about Kajihara prior to his Sasuke appearances. Was pretty good in Spodan. He was pretty good in Kurovi. And by the way, if you think the Kurovi rumor is true, you are wrong. But let's continue. I think with 39 and its general clowning of the second stage, I don't think Kajihara is going to fail stage 2 this time. I really don't. So, I'm going to be about as varied as I was with Yoshinori. I'm going to go low spin winder, high cliffhanger dimension. If you think he's going to clear, you are wrong. I don't see it. I don't see it at all.
Yeah, Kajihara really proved himself in Sasuke 39. Sort of broke out from being like, oh, you're like your typical Saikawa-ish competitor, just being a decent celebrity competitor, but just not breaking out of the second stage. Kajihara proved pretty much everyone wrong by becoming the first person to clear the swing edge, and although he did fail in the dimension, that showed he has a lot of promise and a lot of room for growth. Do I think he's clearing the third stage? Absolutely not. But I do think if he's trained at it, and if he's as dedicated to the show as he seems from his performances, I do think he can get a bit deeper. But again, he isn't the most experienced competitor in the world, so of course anything could trip him up, and that's the case with pretty much all of these competitors here. So with Kajihara, I'm going to go with a low of Dragon Glider, and it's a bit of a risk, but I'll go with a high of Vertical Limit. And up next, it is Jun Sato. He is back for the first time since Sasuke 38, back from his Achilles tendon injury, and yeah, that sort of throws a wrench in your typical Jun Sato prediction. Because while I could easily just say the usual and just go, oh, he's failing cliffhanger, let's move on, because of his injury, I'm not 100% sure if that's a certainty this time. Like, sure, it's probably, like, almost guaranteed it's going to happen, but with Jun, you know, with an Achilles tendon injury, it can affect your speed, and as we know from Jun Sato, his primary skill set is speed, because he's not the strongest, he doesn't exactly have the most stamina in terms of stage 3 anyway, but what Jun lacks in that, he makes up for in just pure speed, and that could become an issue. Not to mention, he has been out of the show for 2 years, and while, according to his social media pages, he is just as good as at parkour as ever, it could be an issue in terms of, you know, being away from the actual show, not being able to try out the actual obstacles. And being away from that could lead him to get a little bit rusty. But again, it's Jun. I'm sure he'll be fine, and while I do think he won't be as fast as he used to be, he'll be a bit rusty, I do have faith in him. But in probably what would be the most varied Jun prediction that you'll ever see, I'm going to go with a low of Dragon Glider and a high of Cliffhanger Dimension.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what to think. I've gotten a lot of mixed signals from Jun and also from this course, for starters. Even though his speed is a bit off, perhaps. Of course, this is just speculation. Of course, I'm not entirely sure if his speed is jaded or not. I think that given, you know, the lenient time limits of this course and also Inui's fantastic renewal, it's at least going to be familiar to him. It's not going to be completely alien. But you know what? I would love to see a shock fail here. And also, I think anything could happen on stage 3. He could fail the fucking flying bar. Who fucking knows? But
he did it in 33, so you never know.
Let's be crazy here. Low flying bar, and I don't think he'll fail this, but this is just going to represent he could fail anywhere on stage 3 except for vertical limit. He's not fucking getting there. High cliffhanger. Yep, he's gonna fail the fucking cliffhanger.
Oh no! How controversial! Jun failing the cliffhanger? Can't believe it. Of course. Can't believe it.
And we move on to the reigning last man standing, who Inui decided to place this early in the lineup, Tatsuya Tada. Honestly, for what I've seen, Tada is known for being so good at dropping the ball. Like, he'll have this in the bag, and then he will mess it up inevitably. We've seen this, you know, from his past performances in this era. But do I think he's going to fail stage 1 or 2? No. I think we're far past that. So, I'm going to keep this simple. Low spin winder, high. I have faith that he'll clear stage 3. So, Salmon Ladder Jugodan.
Yeah, with Tada, again, he was the last man standing last time. He has proven himself to be... He's sort of broken out of his stage 1 curse ever since his breakout in Sasuke 36. But there is a lingering thought in the back of my mind that he does have his issues with Stage 1. I believe, if I recall correctly, he barely, and I mean barely, cleared that stage last time. I believe he had, like, less than a second left. And, point two, Jesus. So, yeah, with Tada, that does linger in the back of my mind, but again, it was raining at that time, but... Yeah, Tada does have some issues with the first stage, but again, he hasn't failed it since Sasuke 35, so I believe he has gotten over it, but yeah. I do believe if he clears, no shot he fails stage 2, let's be honest here, there's no shot he fails stage 2, unless he breaks his leg, like, I don't know, the spider drop, Tada's fine on stage 2. Stage 3, meanwhile, he does have some problems with the back half of the stage. He failed the dimension, I believe, in 38, and he failed the ultra crazy... No, he didn't. He failed the vertical limit in both 36 and 39, so... Yeah, he does have issues with that section of the course, but I believe with some training, obviously, he can correct that. But I don't think he's going to make final, at least this time anyway. Maybe in 41, but this time, I don't see him doing it. I will go with a low of Dragon Glider and a high of vertical limit. Up next is another member of the Morimoto Sadai. It is Naoyuki Araki. Araki has been... How do I put it? He's been quite underwhelming since his breakout with Sasuke 36. As you know, he also broke out along with his longtime friend Tatsuya Tada, making it all the way to the Ultra Crazy Cliffhanger. But since then, it's just been inconsistency. He did make a Stage 2 appearance a couple tournaments back where he failed the reverse conveyor, but it's just sort of been hot and cold with him the whole time. You have his fishbone fail in 37, again, that reverse conveyor fail I mentioned. And in 39, he timed out on the wall, wasn't even shown. So, I think Araki, he's only 29. He can still revive his career, but it's just a matter of if he can himself do it. And I think being out of Stage 3 for as long as he has with the changes that have been made, obviously we have the Sidewinder being changed, we have the new Swing Edge, and the Cliffhanger Dimension's now a thing. I don't know if Araki is going to do it, but even if he does get back to Stage 3, I don't know how far he will get. So I'm going to go with a low of Fishbone and a high of Swing Edge.
You know what? I'll be a little bit more optimistic. Way more optimistic than Inui is, because if you're not showing that, man, would not say I'm very optimistic. Yeah, I don't know with this man. I don't know. He's weird. His results are very, very weird. So, you can throw a dart at the board, and it would basically be, hey, he's gonna fail this obstacle. But, between those 2 points, I'll say, low double warped wall, high cliffhanger dimension. Just throw a dart, whatever obstacle that dart lands on, he's gonna fail. Next up, we're about halfway in. His name is Keitaro Yamamoto. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. We had so much faith in this man, like all these tournaments ago, that if he made it to Stage 3, he would do well. You know what he did? He failed the fucking spin winder. So, I'm gonna give him this. I still think he has it. I don't think that it's entirely impossible that he could, have a deep run here on Stage 3. Do I think he's gonna make the final? No. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But do I think he's gonna, fail Stage 1 either? No. No. So I'm gonna go with low, at the bare minimum, rolling log, high vertical limit Kai.
Keitaro frustrates me as a competitor. Not because, he always fails Stage 2 or all that stuff, or he's not very interesting or whatever. Keitaro frustrates me because I know that he could become a seriously good competitor. And he has shown that he is a very good rock climber. He has kicked absolute ass in practice, but for some reason or another, it took him 8 years just to get to the third stage. And when he finally gets there, when everyone's like, okay, This is Keitaro's run. He is going to prove once and for all that he's not just a stage 2 choke artist and that he can get to the vertical limit or beyond. He fails an obstacle that is pretty much designed for him in the Sidewinder. An obstacle that I'm sure a rock climber could do just fine. It's frustrating. It is so frustrating because he does have that vertical limit and beyond potential, but he hasn't been able to fulfill it yet, and at 31, he's going to hit a ceiling eventually. And is his ceiling stage 2 or early in stage 3? I hope not, but you never know. So with Keitaro, I'm going to go with a low of double warp wall, because we know he can fail the warp wall. And I'm still going to go with a higher vertical limit, because I do truly think he can get there. Cliffhanger should be a piece of cake for this man. He's an unlimited cliffer after all, don't forget that. But it's a matter of if he gets there, because he seriously struggled with the third stage on his first time around. But hopefully, if he gets back there, maybe he'll get it the second time. And up next, we have the new oldest stage 2 clear. It is Yusuke Suzuki. I did not expect him to get to stage 3 last time. I'm going to be completely honest. I did not expect that. I didn't think he would ever get back there again because he's now 44 years old. I didn't expect anyone other than Yuji to break the stage 3 clear record, or stage 2 clear record, sorry. Props to Suzuki, I guess. He's still showing that he hasn't. But I don't know. Suzuki has shown through his performances recently, especially with his warp wall timeouts in recent tournaments, that he isn't as consistent or as speedy or as strong as he used to be. And I think at 44, I think his time in stage 3 is pretty much done. But I still do think he has a few clears left in him, especially since this course is pretty much unchanged. Apart from, oh my god, there's lights on the Dragon Glider. That's the biggest change I've ever seen in my entire life. But, nah. Suzuki, I think, is a good competitor, but I think his ceiling is stage 2 at this point. So, low fishbone, high wall lifting.
Yeah, I'm gonna echo it mostly. I do think he's in contention to break the first stage clear record. Of course, that won't be tested until 41 when he is 45 years old. But, I think his main struggle as a competitor is obviously speed. Like, as if there was any debate. Yeah, it's speed. He's never been good with that. But I think he's relatively consistent with stage 1. I don't see him having troubles with the fishbone or the dragon glider. Of course, he did fail fishbone in 35, but that was 35. That was 5 years ago. So, let's go with low double warped wall, high, easily a timeout on wall lifting. I don't think there's any debate with that. Anyway. Now we move on to, I guess, Inui wants her to be the star of the show, but not really the star. Ayano Oshima. Well, what do I have to say? She would have cleared years ago if she had the female warped wall. That's something we can start with. Man, I have many things to say, but I can't fit them all into a video, or it would be over 2 hours long. So we're gonna go low fishbone, and this time I'll give her this. Maybe she'll get it this time. Maybe. So I'm gonna say high spider drop.
Oh god. It's really sort of telling where Inui's priorities are, that competitors like Hikari Izumi are getting rejected constantly because of how much faith he puts into Ayano Oshima. I don't know why you would put faith into someone who completely bombed in the Germany special she did a few years ago, but Ayano she just can't clear, and we basically need her to, because if she doesn't clear, we're never going to get that true female representation that fans have been crying out for, because why would you put all of your faith as a ninja show, as a franchise, in one woman to clear, and one that hasn't really had all the pieces put together to clear, because she can't get past the warp wall. She's had issues with the dragon glider. She's had issues with the fishbone. I wouldn't even say she was the best Kunoichi competitor back when it was still on. Of course, that was Izumi, and she applies every year and she doesn't get invited. But
Again, like Kane said, I'm not trying to make this 2 hours long. I'm not trying to go on a rant about Ayano Oshima. If she doesn't clear, that'll come later. But, yeah, I'm going to go with a low fishbone. And I'm not going to be as optimistic. I'm going to say if she clears, which I do think there's still a chance, I'm going to go the high rolling log. And up next is a female competitor I have quite a bit more faith in than I do in Ayano. We have Stefanie Edelmann from Ninja Warrior Germany and Austria. Steffi didn't really do that well in her first time on the show back in, what was it, Sasuke 36, I believe? Or 30, yeah, 36.
Yeah.
Yeah, Steffi, I believe, just bombed on the wing slider. But, you know, ever since then, she has proven that she is a top ninja in Europe. Not just for being a female, but in general. I believe in Germany 6, she got all the way to the 3rd stage, which is incredible even in its own right. But for a female competitor, that is absolutely sensational. Steffi, you know, I'm glad she got the second chance. But this course is, at least in some places, different from when she last appeared. Stage 1 is pretty much the same. Easier in some aspects. But Stage 2 and beyond, if she gets there, you know, she doesn't have as much experience with it, especially with some of the obstacles here. So that's going to be telling, but she definitely does have Stage 3 strength and skill, for sure. So for Steffi, I'm going to go with a low of Dragon Glider. And a high of, I want to say, Swing Edge.
Yeah, what do I have to say about Steffi? I think, yeah, that's basically the same thing I was going to say. I'm not going to be quite as optimistic, though. I'll keep this relatively brief. Low Dragon Glider, high Spin Winder? I'm entirely sure, but I'll just say it. Spin Winder? Sure. Alright, up next, in her 3rd outing on Sasuke, Jessie Graff. Now, it's getting rather old, I want to say. I don't remember how old she is currently. I think
she's 38. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah,
I think she's 38.
That's what I thought. Age has been catching up a little bit, which is a bit of a shame, considering she is old as Koji Hashimoto. But injuries have been quite a bit of a problem as of recent in her career. Of course, this is kind of associated with her profession, which is, you know, a stunt woman. But nonetheless, she didn't do that well in AW 13. She failed the 3rd obstacle in the qualifiers, which is a little rough. Of course, AW is harder, I would say, in some aspects than Sasuke is. So, do I think she's going to fail Stage 1? Probably not. I think she will crush it this time, once again. Of course, with the female time limit being, like, 40 seconds ahead, I don't think that will be a problem either. So, I think she's going to clear low rolling log, high swing edge. I think she'll do a little bit better.
Yeah, with Jessie, injuries have sort of set back her career in the last couple of years. She's been on and off American Ninja Warrior. I believe she took a 2 tournament break before coming back in ANW 14. And in ANW 14, she completely bombed. She failed, I believe, the 3rd or 4th obstacle. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, Jessie just, in terms of ANW, hasn't really been the same, of course, due to her injuries. But I think she will have a better chance in Sasuke. Because, of course, in Sasuke, she's been phenomenal. She's broken ground as a female competitor, getting all the way to the 3rd stage in both of her appearances up until this point, both getting to the cliffhanger. And while, because she's now 38 and obviously has that injury to boot, while I don't think she'll do as well, I still think there is a fairly good chance that she will get back to at least the 2nd stage. So I'm going to go with a low of Fishbone because her amazing streak on balance obstacles has sort of faltered because of ANW 14. I'm going to go with a low of Fishbone. And I also have her as a high of Swing Edge. Up next, it is probably the most famous competitor at the moment in Sasuke, at least in Japan anyway. The Snowman Hikaru Iwamoto. Now, I am sure about all 5 of you that watch this, I'm sure that a lot of you will be very mad at what I predict, even if in my opinion it's optimistic, because obviously I go on Twitter and I always see the Iwamoto fans praising Iwamoto to the high heavens and saying that he's gonna do this and he's gonna do that. I'm a bit more realistic when it comes to Iwamoto. Is he a promising competitor? Sure. You can say that. He is firmly in that good at stage 1, not as good as stage 2 bracket. But I do think because of his dedication to the show and the high amount of expectations on him, I think that could push him to do well. Or it could do the exact opposite and cause him to fail. But yeah, I think the only obstacle in stage 1 I'm a bit concerned with Iwamoto is Dragon Glider, because he's had his problems with it in the past. But I think if he clears that, he should be fine on stage 1. Stage 2 is where I'm a bit worried because he hasn't cleared it yet, but he is getting closer and closer to clearing it. So I'm going to go with a low of Dragon Glider, and I'd say there's a chance he clears stage 2. So I'm going to go with a high of Swing Edge.
Okay, what do I have to say about Iwamoto? Well, for starters, he's raking in the moolah. That's where we can start. Second of all, let's be a little bit more objective here. I cannot see him clearing stage 2, unfortunately. I don't think that's gonna happen. Not yet, anyway. Maybe within the coming tournaments, maybe like 41, 42. I'll change my mind on that, but for now, I really can't see it. So, I'm gonna be a little bit pessimistic, I guess you could say. Low Fishbone. High... You know what, for this high one, since it took someone like Darvish, maybe not comparable, since it took Darvish maybe a few more tournaments, I'll say Wall Lift. Alright, now we move on to Oliver Edelman. And as someone who is not really with the times when it comes to Ninja Warrior Germany, not exactly sure what to think. I know he has a few stage 2s and one stage 3 under his belt, but that is about it. That's where my knowledge ends. With that said, I think with that in mind, I think Germany is quite hard. It's definitely a bit of a safety net when it comes to, you know, his skill. I totally think that he will do well, obviously, because this course seems a bit easier than what I've seen from Germany. Hell, there was a cliffhanger in stage 1, which he failed, but still. So I'm just gonna go with low Dragon Glider, high Spin Winder.
Yeah, I do think with Oliver, he has competed in every single Ninja Warrior Germany so far, but in the last couple of tournaments, he has had problems with the first stage, which is something he never really had in his career before that. He did have one stage 1 fail, but besides that, he had cleared every other time. He failed the cliffhanger last time. I believe he failed trying to dismount the thing. But again, I believe, in my opinion at least, Sasuke, especially in its first 2 stages, isn't really as difficult as things like Germany or A&W or what have you. It's a lot more technical, and I think for these competitors that is a lot more in their wheelhouse. So I think with Oliver, I think he'll be relatively fine, but there are maybe a few obstacles that he could have issues with. Main one, of course, being the Dragon Glider, as that has shown to be a killer for internationals in the past. So with Oliver, I'm gonna go with a low of Dragon Glider, but I don't know, maybe a high of Swing Edge as well. And this is another one I'm guessing y'all are gonna be anticipating. I didn't think I'd ever be saying this. Up next in our results predictions, it's Kane Kosugi. That feels weird to say, very weird to say. But yeah, I'm assuming a lot of you are anticipating this one because I made a video back in the day. By back in the day, I mean about a month ago, asking the question of whether Kane could clear stage 1. And I mentioned the fact that he had made a video immediately after the announcement that he was competing, where he was training on some obstacles. And I highlighted in that video, the one thing that I think he has issue with is the Dragon Glider, and I think that could be the one thing that prevents him from continuing his stage 1 clear streak, along with the fact that he is almost 50. But I do think that Kane does have a good chance, and by good chance I mean it's Dragon Glider or bust really, but you never know, honestly. This course can be quite deadly to people, because I'm sure Kane has a lot of expectations on him, and I'm sure he was quite nervous, you know, because you're coming back to the show for the first time in 21 years, and, you know, you want to do well, but you could overthink that. But there's also a thing of, it's Kane. That's not really a characteristic of him to, like, get nervous. But yeah, being out of the show for 21 years is going to be a very, very hard obstacle to overcome. So I think for Kane, I'm going to go with a low of Fishbone. because that is an obstacle that is very easy to mess up. And a high of... I'll go with a high of reverse conveyor, because I do think there's a chance to clear, but it's a matter of if he can get through things like the salmon ladder quick enough, or all that, if he gets there. So high reverse conveyor.
You know, it's funny how Kane and Iketani used to be rivals. Because while Iketani has fallen off unbelievably hard, Kane is hella strong. I will give him that. From what I've seen as of recent, he is really, really good. So I think he has a very good chance of breaking the first stage clear record, you know, set back in Sasuke 1. With that said, I do think the Dragon Glider could throw a wrench in that. I would hate to see that. I would be very upset. But hey, it could happen. So let's keep this quick. Low Dragon Glider, high, I'm gonna say the same thing, reverse conveyor. Up next is a man who has fallen so far from grace. Tomohiro Kawaguchi. Now, some of the viewers from, I guess, Japanese Twitter are pretty big fans of this man. However, I do not share that same sentiment. I do not think he's very good. He has a shit ton of money, though. I will say that. But do I think he will do well? No. He's in his 40s. Could he clear? Maybe. Even though his legs are as stiff as a plank, I have a little bit of faith here. I do have a little bit of faith. So I'm gonna go with low Dragon Glider, because, you know, I could totally see him fucking that up. Because, come on, man, he's Kawaguchi. Modern Kawaguchi. Of course, Kawaguchi from 31-32 wouldn't have done such a thing, but this is current Kawaguchi. So let me reiterate, low Dragon Glider, high reverse conveyor.
Ooh, you don't have him getting to stage 3. That is interesting. Yeah, Kawaguchi hasn't been the same ever since Sasuke 37, when he failed the warp wall. He's failed that thing 3 times in a row now, and I think there is a very good chance at a 4th, because Kawaguchi is in his 40s now, and he isn't that same competitor that everyone said was the second best in the show. And respect to him. His per archer business is doing very well. But on the other hand, Kawaguchi just hasn't been the same. And although I do think that maybe if he can clear the warp wall, he could, keyword could, have a stage 3 run left in him, I don't think it'll reach the same heights as he did back in the 2010s. So for Kawaguchi, I'm going to go with a low of double warp wall, and to be very optimistic, I'm going to go with a high of swing edge. Alright, this is a prediction that I am sure Cayne is looking forward to quite a bit. It is Ryo Matachi. Yes. Ryo Matachi's career resurgence has been very, very great to see. It's great to see him in stage 3 again, even if it is sort of inconsistently, because he's only made it there 2 in the last 4 tournaments, which obviously is a far cry from his failing the first stage 5 times in a row. But yeah, Ryo has been sort of on the inconsistent train. Obviously, he had his fantastic, unbelievable, gut-wrenching vertical limit fail in Sasuke 36. Then he followed that up by inexplicably running on the fishbone and failing in 37. 38, he had the worst salmon ladder performance I've ever seen. But 39, he sort of revived himself in terms of his career again by getting to the swing edge in 39. And while it might be premature in my opinion to say that Ryo is back, he's definitely back to, he's definitely out of that sort of pit of stage 1 fails, at least I hope so. But yeah, Ryo, while in my opinion I don't think right now he is a threat to win, obviously he could end up becoming one if he does really well in 40, he definitely has some deep runs left in him for sure. But again, his main issue in recent times has been stage 1, and more specifically, time management in stage 1 has also been a huge issue, and of course the fact that he isn't exactly the strongest competitor in the world. He's got a lot of stamina, he's got a lot of upper body strength, but he doesn't have a lot of general strength, especially leg strength. So for Ryo, again, pick an obstacle, and there's a good chance he'll fail it. So Ryo, I'm going to go low of fishbone, because Sasuke 37 happened. He could do the same thing again, get to stage 3, fail fishbone. and a high of vertical limits.
You know, building off of Kawaguchi, if Kawaguchi has had a fall from grace, I think Ryo has kind of rebuilt, you know, sort of the fall from grace he had over these past few tournaments.
I would say at least somewhat. I would say at least somewhat built it, because he's not back to his best per se, but at least he's not failing stage 1 every time.
And I think if you've seen me talk in say the Ninja Masters, you would say you could see I have very high hopes for this man. I really, 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 really hope he does well. So call it a far cry, call it a miracle. Low double warped wall, because he has never historically been the greatest at warped walls. And high, salmon ladder Jugodan.
Oh, that's a call right there. That is a call.
That is a call. That is a call. Up next in our list, surprisingly high. Actually, no, not very surprising. He's always been high. Shingo Yamamoto. And I know some of you want him to clear. Do I think he's gonna clear? Actually, out of the All-Stars, I would rule him out the least. I'll give him that. So I'll go with, even though he failed the Silk Slider, fair and square, I know everyone's gonna go, no, it was Fishbone. Dude, his foot hit the water. It was soaked. Get out of here with that. But no, I don't think he's gonna fail it. Silk Slider is an absolute joke, reserved for the worst of the worst.
So Shingo.
To fail it.
So Shingo.
No. He doesn't count. Hikakin. That's what I'm
Oh
saying.
yeah, for sure.
By the way, if you want a cool prediction, low rolling hill, Silk Slider for him.
Yeah,
But no,
I agree. I agree. Low roll. In fact, I'll be even more up to it. Hikakin, low rolling hill, high Fishbone. Fuck it. Why not? Go on, Hikakin.
Dude, we've gone so far off the beaten path already.
Exactly. Go back. We're on Shingo. We're on Shingo. Shingo Yamamoto.
Shingo.
Hold in your Hikakin, Kane. Go.
All right, Hikakin will not even show up. Hopefully. Anyway, back to
We're already past. All right, just go.
No, Shingo, low Fishbone, because come on, he sucks at Fishbone historically, and you know what? I'll be nice. High Spider Walk.
I'm guessing with Spider Walk you predict some probably stupider than Nagasaki, I would imagine. But anyway, yeah. Shingo. I'm not on the clear train. I'm sorry. That ship has passed. That ship sailed ever since like the Dragon Glider got introduced. Because he was making slow and steady progress with the double pendulum, and then the Dragon Glider came, and I was like, oh yeah, it's over. I'm sorry, everybody, it's over. And then, yeah, he just sucked at the Dragon Glider jump. He did make, I believe, he did finally make the trampoline at one point and did almost clear it, I believe a couple tournaments ago. But yeah, the guy is like, what, 48, 49 now? I'm sorry. It's not happening. I want it to, but I don't have faith. So for Shingo, I'm going to go with he trips and falls off the rolling hill as my low. And my high, he clears the double warp wall, but falls off the side and hits the ground. No, low rolling hill, high double warp wall. That's what it is. There you go. Okay, everybody, it's time. It's Mr. Sasuke. It's Katsumi Yamada. He's okay right off the bat. He's not clearing. I know. I'm crazy. He's not clearing. That's so shocking. Yeah, like Yamada, he's 57. Come on. Like it was great seeing his run in Sasuke 38, where he got all the way to the Dragon Glider. That was incredible. That was so hype. But come on, it's Yamada. We know exactly what he is going to do. He will fail something in the most stupid way possible, and we're all gonna have a great laugh because it's Yamada. That's what Yamada is here for, and that's why we love him so much. Well, most of us anyway. But yeah, Yamada, he failed the quad steps last time. Quite funny. First half of the stage is something he always struggles with. So yeah. So for Yamada, I'm going to go with a low of quad steps, because Yamada, and a high of, well, you know what? Because he does have it in his Black Tiger sort of training camp. You know what? Fuck it. High tackle. Let's go with that. High tackle. Go on, Yamada. Prove me correct. Do it. Just do it. Become the second ever timeout on the tackle. Go on. I have full faith in Yamada. Do it. Fail the tackle, please.
Dude, Yamada, give him this. He exceeded expectations in 39. Instead of failing the Dragon Glider, he failed a whopping 3 obstacles before. Incredible.
Wow.
Alright, so let's get this started. Low fishbone. High Kanzen. Nah, I'm just
Oh
kidding.
my
High
god!
Dragon Glider.
I can't believe it.
High Dragon Glider.
Yeah, fair enough.
Alright, up next is Akiyama. I can't believe he's back, but I'm glad he's back, admittedly. I don't know how he's gonna see the starting line, but you saw it. He's up there in the trailers. So, I think there is a very varied, just kidding, not very varied, set of obstacles that he could fail. Admittedly,
The start line is one of them.
I can see, unlike him, that he will beat he will beat the rolling hill and the silk slider. I think he'll do that just fine. I don't think his body has quite hit that wall yet. He looks the same as he has all those years ago when he failed the half-pipe attack in the dumbest way possible. So, you know what? Considering that his body has not hit the wall, unlike, say, I don't know,
His eyes.
Takeda hasn't aged very well. I'll be the nicest man ever. And I know this take is gonna get me killed.
Oh,
but low fishbone, high double warped wall.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Akiyama. I'm basing this a lot off of I know it was probably like staged, but if you remember back, Sasuke 32. Before Sasuke 32, they did this special Super Mario Maker event thing where they got Yamada, Akiyama, and a couple of others to do the course. And Akiyama completely bombed on the quad steps, and that was quite funny. But yeah, and if we go off something that was actually real, Sasuke 28 was his last appearance before this, 10 years ago. He failed the spin bridge, and even though the spin bridge isn't there anymore, even before that, Akiyama had issues with stage 1. He did used to get fairly deep. He got to the warp wall a couple times, almost cleared it, I believe, in 25. But yeah, Akiyama, of course, he hasn't, obviously due to his eye condition, he hasn't been the same competitor. So honestly, it's sort of a literally anywhere in stage 1 he could fail. So I'm gonna go with a low of quad steps and a high of Dragon Glider. Because of his eye condition, I don't see a way he gets past that. That thing literally requires you to sort of use your eyes, which is something that Akiyama can't really do because of his condition. And yeah, he's had, again, with his issues with, he had issues with the jump hang in the past, of course, as you know. And because this is another trampoline obstacle and one that requires you to sort of see where the bar is, it's going to be quite difficult for him, especially in the light. It's going to sort of be even more distracting because, again, the Dragon Glider lights up, so that's a bit of a problem, don't you think?
Thanks to New.
But yeah. Next up, we have our second grand champion, 5-time finalist, one of the greatest of all time. Not my personal greatest of all time, but have to admit he's a top 3 competitor of all time. You know him well. He's the fisherman killer. He is the fish killer. He is Makoto Nagano. Now, he's 50 years old, Nagano. He isn't the speedy, sort of can do anything without breaking a sweat guy that we saw back in the 2000s anymore. This is Nagano, a 50-year-old who is competing with his son. Now, I know a few people are out there saying, but Shackman and Cayne. Nagano was sort of fast in Sasuke 38. He's gonna do it. We'll prove you wrong. He's gonna clear. He's gonna do the thing. And I'm just like, no, I'm sorry. He's 50 years old. He sucked at the Dragon Glider last time, and he's pretty much not. He's not competing in a serious way. He's competing for fun, like all the All-Stars are at this point. They're just there to have a good time and to sort of bring back the nostalgia and make everyone happy like he did last time. So yeah, with Nagano, I don't think he'll clear, but I do think there's a chance he could get deep and do another great run for us. So I'm gonna go with a low of Fishbone, and a high of Double Warped Wall.
I guess we do have to call him Makoto Nagano now, because Kaio Nagano is competing. And by the way, if you thought we were going to predict it, he's not getting past Rolling Hill. I'm sorry. It's not going to happen.
I'm not going to predict how well a child does, thanks.
Yeah, if you thought we were going to think, oh, dude, he's Nagano. He's
totally
gonna
Kansen. He's going to do it.
Dude,
No.
Absolutely not. Get out of here with that. It's horrible. But no, back to his father. I have faith. I don't think he's going to beat the Warped Wall. He was never... Or, well, he was. He was good at the Warped Wall for a time, but that ship has sailed a long time ago. So, I mostly echo it. But I do think he will not fail Fishbone, because his balance is godly. That is the one thing.
We saw that 37 save. Or 38 save, sorry. We know his balance is godly.
Yeah, that is the one thing he has managed to preserve throughout the aging over the years. So, with that said, low Dragon Glider, high Warped Wall. Alright, next up, number 99, once again, we don't usually, actually we see it sometimes, but we haven't seen it too horribly often until recently. Yuuji Urushihara, So's GOAT.
Yes, that is correct. He is, in my opinion, the GOAT.
Yeah, and that's a story for another day. Yeah, it honestly does make sense. I can't disagree. But let's get to the point. His age is going to be quite a bit of a factor. I will maintain. Getting into his 40s, mid-40s actually, it's going to be quite tough this time around. He's really going to have to prove himself. I don't know if he's... I don't think he has a chance at consenting. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But do I think he's going to make it to stage 3? I mean, there's a chance, okay? So, we're going to go with low Double Warped Wall, because, I mean, come on. And high of Swing Edge. Let's go with that.
Yeah, with Yuuji, you know, his career revival ever since Sasuke 34 has been fantastic. It's been great to see Yuuji back at his best. Arguably, I would even say, like, with how difficult Stage 3 was, seeing him get all the way to the Pipe Slider and Vertical Limit in, like, 36 and 37 was incredible. It was like we were seeing the old Yuuji again. But 38 and 39 were a bit concerning for me. 38, okay, he failed the second stage. The reason was because he wasted too much time on the reverse conveyor. Okay, fair enough. But 39 was sort of worrying, because I can't put that all down to just the rain. He really struggled in general with the tackle and warp wall and had pretty much no time. He wouldn't have cleared anyway, in my opinion. But, yeah. Yuuji, he's 44 now. And I do think this is going to be the moment in 40 because we have good weather. If he doesn't do well, I think age is winning. I think age is winning if he doesn't do well. And honestly, I think there's just as much of a chance he fails any of the 3 stages, really. So, in my opinion with Yuuji, and it pains me to say this, I'm going to go with a low of Double Warped Wall and a high of Vertical Limit. I can't see him clearing. I know some of you think that 40, you know, you've been saying this for like God knows how long, that 40 is his last chance to get to stage 4. I don't see it, man. I'm sorry. Maybe stage 3, but I don't see it. Alright, I'm assuming most of you skipped at this point because you don't care about the other 29 competitors that we predicted, but hey, you're here. It's Yusuke Morimoto, our final competitor of the day. And I know there's a good reason as to why you guys probably skipped to this part. Because if we go back to Sasuke 37, I made a call. I made a prediction. A prediction that would live in infamy. I predicted that Yusuke would Kanzen. Not only as a high Kanzen, but no matter what, he would Kanzen. I was wrong. He failed the first stage. And I made that call again in 38 and I was proven right, but ever since then, it has just been a constant thing. Everyone's asking me, oh, Shackman, are you going to predict Yusuke to win? Are you going to do the unconditional Kanzen, please? No. No, I'm not going to do it. I'm sorry. I know I let you down, everyone. I know I'll have to make an apology video saying I'm sorry for not predicting Yusuke to win, but I don't think he's gonna unconditionally win. I'll say that. More like a compromise. There's a good chance he'll win, in my opinion, because it's Yusuke. He gets past that first stage, he's fine. He's gonna stroll his way to the final stage. But it's a matter, and even though it was not his fault in 39, maybe that double warp wall fail could knock him, because that's his second time doing it in 3 tournaments. Granted, in between that there was a Kanzen, but still, he's 31 years old now, so you never know. He could be early peaker, because of course he rose to his prominence in 21, won at 23, won again at the age of 29, so you never know. But for Yusuke, I'm going to go with a low of double warped wall, and yeah, a high of Kanzen. A high Kanzen.
Oh my god. So said that he wouldn't predict it. He would show a bit of restraint, perhaps.
What are you doing?
But I won't.
No.
Yusuke Morimoto.
No, don't
call this a letdown.
Think about this. Think about this for a second,
Not
Kane.
only to me.
Think about this for a second. Think about this.
Billy.
Think about this for a second. Don't
But
do
I
it.
think
You have so much to live for.
For 40, you know?
Don't do it, please.
Thinking about the circumstances, and you know, I'm a great fan of this man. I think it would make sense. If I were to say that Yusuke was to unconditionally Kanzen this
Why are you
tournament.
doing this? Why? No. It was going so well. Our return was going so well. And now look what you've done. You
The
did that.
moves on, I guess. Don't call it a comeback.
Don't call it. Why? Why did you do this every single year? Every single
It's not
year.
a repeat. It's not a repeat.
It's not a repeat because I didn't
repeat.
predict it last year, but why? That means it's 3 times in a row that TSN has done a results prediction. At least one of us has done an unconditional Kanzen.
It's not a repeat. Don't call it a repeat.
Oh my god. All right, well, that's the predictions, I guess. I just scrolled back up and I realized we predicted 31 competitors instead of 30. Shocker. But
Oh well.
yeah. This video is going to be a pain to edit. Hopefully we can get it out in the, as of recording, 9 days before Sasuke 30, or Sasuke 40, sorry. That's the first time I made that mistake all year. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed these predictions. If you have any predictions or want us to predict any competitors that we missed, because I know there's a few, leave it in the comments below. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe to the SASUKE Nerds. Peace out, y'all.